G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is Noveske Recce, which I'm not sure if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, but that's the letters I'm seeing. I looked up how to pronounce this and that, and this is just so it's just an That's what we're going to call this thing from now on. No, just kidding, we're going to call it a Noveske. It's like calling a Chevy Camaro a Chevy, so that works out pretty well for me. Anyways, what you're looking at here appears to be some sort of Armalite rifle. I did go ahead and look up what Noveske is during my search for the proper pronunciation, and they're just an arms manufacturer. Maybe Armalite gives them the license to build weapons like these. They had a website with the web shop. I clicked on it, had a look around, and now I'm probably on some sort of Fed watch list for buying guns and being a domestic terrorist. If you're a Fed, you're watching this, don't worry, I'm not going to buy any guns. A Commodore is too much of a money pit right now. Anyways, so this is an AR-15 looking rifle. It's got custom sounds and animations, but possibly the most distinctive thing about this mod is it's got like 400 attachments on this. So we'll get to them in just a second, but there's a whole lot of attachment slots here, and all of these attachments have so many different sub-attachments. So let's start off from the top and work our way down. Fortunately, the receivers are just nothing. You've just got a standard receiver, that's all you get. We can have a 27cm barrel, which is metric measurements, which means it's probably not an American rifle. It's an American design, but maybe they're not produced in America. Unless, for some reason, they decide to use metrics for, like, gun barrel lengths. But, no, they're using inferior imperial systems for literally anything else. A 40cm barrel, 4 or 5mm long, will give us the increase in range and accuracy that we need to hit out at better ranges more accurately in VATS as well. And now we can get to the handguard versions, and I'm going to scroll through these. Some of these have quad sets up of Picatinny rails on them, and you can attach laser sights onto all of them if you feel like it. You'll see that there's some different mounting points for the front sight, and actually moves along as we scroll down and see the further ones. Hey, that kind of looks like, just a little bit like the R91 barrels, the Fallout 3 assault rifle barrels, which I guess you could try to make, but it's always going to look like a Armalite rifle, not a FAL. And as we keep going down, we can see the handguards that are reaching, so the end of the longest barrel we can put on this thing. Whether this actually increases anything except for looks and aesthetics, I'm not really sure. Although some of these do require gun nut rank 4 for some obligatory reason, and I don't really know why. We'll try to find a long barrel with a quad setup of Picatinny rails as we scroll down here, but yeah, there we go. We'll go for a quad rail EXT, the 14-inch one, so we're not using metric anymore. Righto then, and you can also get 15. As you can tell, it has been getting longer and longer as they go down. This one here is an M-Log, and it looks like it has some sort of cover plates on top of that rail for like better grip or something, but those don't actually have textures, so it may be something they need to take a quick look at back in the creation kit and then upload a patch to fix that. Right now I've got a bird cage on the muzzle. That's the muzzle. That's like a flash suppressor, I think. There's also muzzle brakes, compensators, and the like. There's also some suppressors tucked in here. But the attachment count here is insane, and if this sets a benchmark for the amount of attachments that we might see on future weapons, I doubt that it would, but you gotta ask yourself, is it a little bit too excessive? That's an Osprey suppressor. That's interesting. I didn't know they did those in 5.56 because they're always on vectors. But maybe that's, I don't even know if they're rated for a 5.56 round, but yeah, that's what this thing fires. Let's go for that one, because why not? Right now we've got some rear iron sights, and they're gone now, but they were cold to A2 ones. There they are. But you can change this for a series of reflex sights, scopes if you feel like it. Anything that goes on a Picatinny rail you can utilize here, including scopes with scopes on the top of them, just in case you want to bring up an old meme back from 2008 about Exhibit. You know the ones, and if you don't, then you're too young to be watching this video. Go to bed. Now, what I probably want to do is find, well, a Bastard, perfect, or perhaps an Aerotech 5.52. Yep, we'll take that one instead. There's also smaller Aerotechs, different Aerotechs, a spearmint flavored Aerotech, the works, and there's also these cool super holographic ones which have no housing at all. Looks like a Call of Duty sight right there, which looks kind of nice. And there's some Holo Suns. I recognize some of these from other weapon mods that I've seen, but increase the frequency as which I scroll through. As you can tell, there's also ACOG scopes as well. Very nice. You can change the grip on the front, which is basically all foregrip, which is like a billion of these as well. These ones are a little bit less interesting than the sights, but there's some big elaborate ones, and then there's some small stubby ones. Every shape and size has been covered by this. There's also one to attach an invisible one. Nothing at all. I'm going to go for something like this. We'll keep that black aesthetic going. This one has a laser, which you can attach on the top. You can attach a laser or a flashlight on the side here, and on the other side as well, whichever attachment point that is. Can I double up on that side? I don't really know, but yeah, there's a lot of these at the moment. We'll throw... Okay, so some of these are on the wrong side because that one appears to be... I don't know, they're a little bit all over the place. Let's go for a laser sight there. The green one at the bottom. You could probably align that with the barrel slightly easier if it's directly under, I suppose. Next up, we've got the charging handle thingy. Or no, that's actually the flip-down sights on the top, which aren't particularly useful for me, because I'm using an AeroTech. Perhaps if the AeroTech's battery goes away, we can use these sights as a backup, but we don't have to worry about that. It's powered by nuclear now, so that's fine. This is a charging handle right here, which you can barely see. Whether they actually do anything to the reloads, probably don't, but you can have a Raptor AR-15, which looks like that. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Nice. Next up, we've got the grip, like the actual pistol grip, which you can throw on many different ones. That one looks uncomfortable. I'm getting slightly more comfortable now. That one's all skeletal. This one looks pretty cool. Not the skeletal one, that one. The skeletonized one doesn't reduce weight of the thing. Actually, the red skeletonized will actually increase your accuracy by 1, so I gotta throw that on. Actually, a lot of these increase the accuracy slightly. That's really weird. And we've got an M4 stock right now. You can have a folded version of those, or this stock, which is more of a fixed in place. And we'll keep scrolling through. You've probably seen these in other weapon mods before. I definitely recognize a lot of these. Let's go for a SOP mod one. Extend that out to make it as comfortable as possible. And you can change the color of, I believe that is called the buffer tube. We're going for a red aesthetic. We've got the red skeletal grip, so we'll grab a red buffer tube there. That looks kind of cool, the red and black together. Unless you're an Essendon player, then it's bad. And now we can attach a different magazine, which we can go for a 40-round magazine here. Or if you scroll down to the bottom, you get a 34-round magazine, which is shorter, so that makes sense. And I feel like these are packed in pretty tight if they're they don't have textures on that side. That's interesting. Or maybe the casings are just painted bright purple. Probably not. But yeah, that's a 30-round magazine. We've somehow managed to fit another 10 inside there, so that's pretty good. I'm going to keep the one that I'm going with. Actually, no, we'll throw the one with the window there. Textured on both sides too. Bonus. And here we go. Here's the main crux of this thing, other than it's like billions of attachments. You can have armor-piercing bullets, explosive bullets, which will decrease your damage, maybe to compensate for the fact that they explode. Don't want to make it too overpowered. Smart bullets, which will just make the weapon fire smart 5.56. The same ammo type, but there'll be like little missiles that seek on their targets and do damage that way. Or wall penetrator, which apparently can go through walls. I'm going to choose wall bang every single day of the week, although armor piercing is definitely a tempting option here. I'm going to grab one of each for these things so we can experience all the different rounds. And you can have a semi-auto version or full auto version if you feel like it. If you do choose semi-auto, you'll get a big damage bonus to offset the slower rate of fire to keep the DPS nice and competitive in comparison to the automatic version, and a legendary effect is there if you need it. Even more customization options. I don't want to break down exactly how much options there are if you add them all up, but there's a hell of a lot going on with this thing, and it's quite unprecedented, so there you go. Any weapon mod worth its salt will allow you to craft it directly on a workbench. This one is no exception. For gun nut rank 1 and these particular materials, you can craft yourself a Noveske. Let's get another 3 of these, and then we can get started. Also worth mentioning that currently on the Nexus page, there is an option to get this injected into the leveled list, and if you do choose to go down that path, it's injected at level 20 and beyond. Righto, welcome to the outside of the Immersive Gunners Plaza. Once again, here is our Noveske in first person. Here's the bashing animation, because I probably won't do it to gunners during gameplay. Capable of destroying cars in just a few hits. Odd thing to note about this current holographic sight is that's just painted right on it. That reticle is painted right on it. Usually Fallout 4 does a trick where the sight or the dot on the holographic / reflex doesn't actually show up because it's projected in front of your scope when aiming down sights, but that's just painted in the middle there, which I think is quite interesting. We've also got the sniper version here, which appears to have some sort of... I don't know why my scopes do that. I'm going to need to chase that weapon mod that actually makes that happen, because that's just janky as hell, and I don't know why. But it's a see-through scope, which means in third person, if I'm not going to switch over to it by aiming down sights, then I'll just get the normal zoom in. And now I've got this little baby one. This one is explosive. I've made it as compact as possible, and there's reload animation, by the way. We're probably going to be seeing that quite a lot. Good thing we've got a 40-round magazine, because this thing gets through them very, very quickly indeed. Also, it's very loud. It's a lot louder than a lot of other vanilla game weapons. And again, this one is sort of painted in its reticule on its reflex sight, so that's interesting. This one has the smart rounds, so we don't have to worry about aiming down sights as much. And there's the gun bobbing animation. Sprinting, it's like the Call of Duty tactical sprint. I raised my fingers and did the little quotation marks. You probably couldn't see it. You definitely couldn't see it, but I definitely did that. Anyways, let's get started. And this thing's crazy rate of fire means we've got to burst just a little bit when it comes to this range, because the recoil... it's going to make things easy for us. At least we can hit that turret for 69. Okay, I think there's... that Mantis, he's going down. Let's not let him get away with his madness. And I think I saw another one over there as well. I really would like to get some good sneak critical kills in. There we go. That's the stuff. I suppose I could use VATS from all the way out here. Potentially a little bit cheap, but, you know, the weapon's got a smart component anyway. You know what? No, I'm just letting these crits go. Holy crap. That's a lot of damage. Normally the crits don't come that fast, but on this occasion, they certainly have. Let's continue. Wow, this is shredding things. I'm guessing it's because that supreme rate of fire. So the damage numbers may not look that impressive by themselves, but I think, judging by this, this is not the wall penetrating either. That's why I was shooting at the wall, just testing. But the DPS that we're getting out of it, especially with the 4.4 times multipliers, that's pretty scary good. There we go. Okay, the fight's on now, and we get this nice little zoom in. But maybe we don't want that. Oh, that's a sniper knockdown. Ooh, very good. Sometimes the see-through scopes don't have the necessary keywords to allow them to knock down targets, but this one, it certainly has, which is really good news. There we go. Sit down, son, and I'll shoot you until you die. Also, we're almost ready for a cheap little level up right now, which is unfortunate because I haven't really damaged myself all that much. I feel like the zoom in might be a little bit too much for my current combat sort of distance. Also, I'm hearing noises. I don't think it's gunfire. I think it's... is it footstep noises? Might have to crank the game up just to find out exactly what that is, but that's really weird. Maybe it is shooting, but they're not shooting at me because I'd know about it, that's for sure. So the damage on the semi-auto version, not as impressive. The rate of fire is about that of, let's say, a combat rifle, for example. That's a cloaked head, man. It's the headless horseman, but he's lost his horse and become a Commonwealth gunner. Scary stuff. Let's move over to the explosive now. Obviously, a very potent weapon for crowd control, and if gunners are standing next to each other, we can make great use of that. Aiming down sights, not really an issue. Near enough is good enough when it comes to explosive. Hitting him for 69 damage with the explosives whilst firing that fast, yeah, you're basically gonna win. You don't even have to be shooting at them. This thing can be an indirect fire weapon at this point, as these gunners try to no-scope me. It's not happening, pal. Not happening. Also, I swear this combat music is different than normal. Maybe it's a different track than it usually plays, but... okay, now I recognize it. That's fine. Okay. Time for smart bullets. I spoke of indirect fire. Well, this is it. So I think it's got the same sounds as a one of those Cyberpunk smart guns that were there back in the day. I'll just say this right now. I'm really glad this smart AR is not just a standard smart thing by default. I'm glad that this is just a bullet option for those of you who don't feel like aiming on the particular game day they're playing. I actually quite like that a lot, because if it was just all lock onto a target and shooting, now that wouldn't be any fun, would it? Let's try to get some wall bangs here. We might be able to do it. Maybe I need the penetration framework to actually get this to work, but let's add some criticals to the mix here. Actually, we could probably build up some criticals. We might have to use this in VATS. That seems like it's hit through some sandbags there. That's done the job. And a Grim Reaper sprint to add insult to injury there. And look, there's a gunner over there. We'll shoot them. Get those crits back nice and fast. I don't know if we're just lucky when we're hitting them like that, but we haven't been missing at all thus far. That's a 95% chance to hit. This one's definitely going through. That's definitely hitting through walls. Okay, now it's not. So maybe it was just lucky that I got as far as I did. I got a lot further than I should have, but then I haven't met Frank Horrigan either. And Frank Horrigan ain't so tough, I'll tell you that much. If he can be beaten by some sort of Vault Dweller, then I reckon my Angels could take him. Swarm him, 16 against 1. He's not surviving that. He acts like he's the big, toughest super mutant around. 1,000 health, that ain't too much in Fallout 4, I'll tell you that much. Maybe he'll have like 100,000 in terms of Fallout. I don't know what you're doing. That sort of destroyed my chain of thought there. But yeah, if they were to bring back some sort of Frank Horrigan monster in terms of like a mod boss that you have to kill, maybe he'd have like 100,000 health. That's Rust Devils again. We'll get a bit of sniping done, because I haven't really been able to use this weapon at a range where I would consider actually using a proper sniper weapon. And against the squishier little baby raider dudes over there, things are going pretty well. That guy goes down pretty easily, I think, at this point. There's that noise again. Maybe it's like a gas weapon, because that guy had a gas weapon, and maybe it was like the charge up sound. Also, the scope lens being orange is immensely aesthetically pleasing, and that's all I have to say about that. Not the most prudent weapon to breach a door with. Should probably just go back to this one. Alright, so that was a pretty cruisy run, don't you think? This thing crushed everything in its way. Individually, the bullets aren't going to do that much, but if you marry this gloriously high rate of fire with sneak criticals, I think you'll be in for a hell of a DPS. A hell of a time getting that DPS out. And I think there's one more raider down there. The trouble is, to utilize this at its full potential, with sneak criticals, you have to burst fire a little bit, unless you're super good at controlling recoil, but I'm thinking the spread might get you. Oh, maybe not. I was pretty easy on the trigger there. Maybe I should back myself in to hold it down for a little bit longer. So with that in mind, and this might be a little bit easier since it's a giant target, we might just want to hose down Swan from back here just to see what kind of damage we can get out of this range. Oh, Fred O'Connell's back. But I don't think I've looked at these things properly in third person yet, because I want to point out that the foregrips are actually held onto properly, and if you don't have a foregrip, then you'll just hold on to the barrel just like that. I don't know if these animations are ported from somewhere else or whether they just new. I don't recognize them from being anywhere else, but really good animation set, and the fact that the extra time and care has been taken into getting these things like changing where your hand is on the handguard or foregrip, depending on what's there. I like that. Some good attention to detail. Anyways, let's begin. And we want to kill this little super mutant in here first. There we go. He goes down. We'll pop a fresh magazine in, and we'll hose this guy down with extreme prejudice. Try to get some of these headshots in just to increase our damage that way. For some reason, I'm just seeming to hitting... Some of these shots are coming out for like, I don't know, 700 damage, and I don't really know why. The damage seems to vary wildly. Perhaps it was just the rate of fire giving me the occasional headshot, and perhaps it was maybe something like the sneak criticals and him being within this weapon's particular effective range. That might have been why it's happening. But if we witness anything anomalous here, then maybe we'll know about it. And we might be right to just tank these hits for now. One more. Okay, I was expecting a little bit more of a nerd rage reaction there. Hoping to activate that annoyed thing. Let's add some criticals into the mix here because I might be running out of AP. And I think there's a Radstag behind me. That's a glowing Radstag. That's not cool. Hopefully one more crit. No, not one more crit, but he went for the stag instead of me, which I've surgically removed one of its heads so it's less mutated than it was before death. Lucky missile launcher. Look at that damage. Love it. And what did Swan give me? I don't usually check the legendary drops, but now I've done one. Oh, he slid down here. What did you drop? A surprise squad of Radstags, apparently, for one. And we've got a plasma-infused hunting rifle. It's a full New Vegas hunting rifle. Very nice. Alright, so that was pretty good, but let's try that again. Full sneak criticals, maybe some sniper knockdowns added into the mix. Alright, looks like the Wendigo is on the move. Looks like there's some bugs down there to take him out. Okay, there's definite movement sounds when I am down the scope with this thing sometimes, so a little bit of a bug there. I don't think this is the first time that I've witnessed something like this, or I've had mention of something like this, but it's quite an interesting sound to be looped over, especially when aiming down a scope. And now we're in danger. Okay, no sneak criticals for me, apparently. That's fine, because we've got many shots in VATS. Well, enough to get him knocked down for the moment, and we can back this rate of fire to keep him nice and locked down as we go along. Let me just shoot him in the face a few more times. Very good. Then we switch to third person here to make sure we make the most use out of this thing, because honestly, at this stage, is a little bit too close to me. And wait a minute. There's the sniper knockdown that I needed. I might just consider switching over to something a little bit less subtle. Pop a quick reload within VATS and then just start shooting him. And looks like we missed. And if we don't hit, then that's not a huge deal because we'll get a bunch of that explosive damage. And that might also increase our chance to stagger if we get a direct hit because it's 2 hits rather than 1, which is good news. Or if we feel like we don't really need to aim anymore, we've also got the smart version of this, but honestly is quite a slow-moving target some of the time, and this thing's rate of fire, you can always back it in to be pretty accurate at a range like this. It's a very compact weapon, and its rate of fire sort of reflects that. Sorry, its hip-fire accuracy reflects that, and the rate of fire is just icing on the cake here. We're actually running a little bit low on, what do you call them, the 5.56 rounds at this point. We've been through quite a lot of them as we've gone along here, but I think I'm going to call it there for this particular weapon. By the way, you can fire the smart rockets dumb, but obviously there's a massive travel time enabled to it. And if you decide to shoot a Mirelurk, they can easily counter your damage by leaning into the bullets and allowing it to hit their carapace or shell instead. So I think that's kind of clever. The Mirelurks are privy to your smart bullet tricks and they know how to get around it. Unfortunately, mag dumping them does not allow them to live regardless, but there you have it. So as we end this day on a nice walk around the beach on a sunset, I'm going to call it there for the Noveske. It's a brilliant weapon mod, although it's heavy. It's very heavy on your hard drive. 1.7 gig before everything is extracted. I get that that might be because all of these attachments and 4K textures, because this thing looks unreal in my hands. I usually don't go for the 4K option because hard drive space, but yeah, I guess you download what you you get what you download when it comes to this, and the weight on your hard drive sort of is reflected in the quality of this. But if you'd like to see this weapon in your game, check out link in the description. Hopefully there's a light version to be released soon with lesser scaled textures and perhaps an Xbox port at some point. But if you have PC, definitely check out this mod and see what it's like. Also, you can just see, as they exit the barrel, the gyro bullets, which I think is kind of neat. And a little bit of a... Look at that neck go back for the reload animation. That's funny. Anyways, yep, check it out. Interested if you are. And recommend it. See you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.